Discover how an incredible poor boy's 10-year journey created the life-changing Mercedes-Benz. In the heart of Chicago, where the streets pulsed with energy and laughter mingled with the sounds of honking cars, Jamie stood in the shadows of his struggles. His neighborhood, a patchwork of crumbling buildings and flickering streetlights, buzzed with life. But below that surface, pain and poverty swirled, overshadowing dreams. Jamie, a 12-year-old boy with dirt-stained hands and hopeful eyes, felt it all. Raised by his single mother, a waitress hustling through 3 grueling shifts to keep food on the table, Jamie learned resilience early on. Every dollar pinched meant a little more hope, a little more determination to change their fate. Every afternoon, he scavenged in alleyways for parts from abandoned cars, dreamily pulling apart rusted frames, each one a ghost of what could be. To him, they weren't just metal. They were treasures filled with potential. Jamie's heart raced as he imagined his masterpiece, a gleaming Mercedes-Benz, the embodiment of success and freedom. One day, he whispered, hoping to summon the magic hidden in those scraps. As months turned into years, Jamie's determination clashed with a world hardening around him. Schools began to close. Families left for better places. But Jamie clung to his dream. In a dilapidated garage transformed into a shared sanctuary, he gathered friends, fueling their imaginations with visions of repaired cars that could lift everyone in their struggling neighborhood. "If we can fix these cars, we can fix our lives," he declared, his voice crackling with passion. Yet, every step forward was marred by hurtful words from the wealthy kids at school. Their laughter felt like knives. "What do you know about success, car boy?" they jeered, pointing at Jamie's patched-up sneakers. Each tease pierced him deeper, yet it only ignited a fiercer fire within. His mother, always a beacon of strength, whispered, "You are stronger than their words, Jamie. Never let anyone dim your shine." With time, Jamie transformed their little group into a makeshift repair shop. Neighbors came, thankful for the affordable help and eager to support kids trying to make a difference. The laughter returned to the garage, echoing with determination. Just as it seemed like life might change, tragedy struck. Jamie's mother collapsed, a mere shadow of the vibrant woman she once was. The hospital bills piled up like insurmountable mountains. And with their dream teetering on the brink, hopelessness clawed at Jamie's heart. But this wasn't the end. It was just another beginning. Inspired by his mother's unwavering spirit, he rallied the community for a charity event, a chance to turn a rusted old jalopy into a breathtaking replica of a Mercedes. "This is it," he proclaimed, his eyes wide with excitement amidst the weary crowd. "We can raise the funds needed for my mom's treatment." Together, hope flickered back in the hearts of those around them. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the day of the event approached, Jamie's heart raced. Could the wealthy elite, who once looked down on him, now see him for more than just a poor boy with a dream? Gathering everyone around, Jamie readied himself. The crowd's energy buzzed like electricity, anticipation thick in the air. Would they rise and support him? Would this community come together? Or would doubt snuff out the flame he had ignited? Standing there, exposed and vulnerable, Jamie pondered whether true worth is measured by wealth or by the courage to dream. The crowd's breath hitched, the moment of truth poised to change everything. The sun dipped low, casting a warm glow over the crowd that had gathered. Faces, some familiar and others new, were etched with uncertainties and curiosity. Jamie felt the heat rising in his chest, a mix of nerves and hope. He stepped forward, wiping his palms on his denim jeans, and took a deep breath. His voice trembled slightly, but he pushed through. "Thank you for coming. Today we're not just repairing a car. We're mending dreams. Mine, my mom's, and maybe yours too." The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Some heads nodded. A few parents exchanged glances, while the younger kids, their faces painted with eager anticipation, whispered to each other. Jamie could see his friend, Lucas, at the back, a thumbs up given with confidence, and it bolstered Jamie's resolve. Today, we're taking this old junker, this Ford from the 50s, he pointed to the faded frame propped against the garage, and turning it into something glorious. The crowd murmured, excitement growing, and for the first time in a long while, Jamie felt the possibility of his dream coalescing around him. With the kids from the neighborhood rallying to help, tools clanged and laughter erupted as they shared stories and ideas. Each person contributed. The mechanic next door offered expertise, the local baker brought treats for the workers, and Jamie's friends supplied their hands and hearts. Together, they made quick work of the old Ford, the sound of hammers and cheers filling the air with a strange, beautiful symphony. But with progress came the lurking doubt that shadowed Jamie's earlier feelings of hope. As he worked, flashes of the wealthy kids mocked him from his memory. "Carboy," echoed in his brain, each taunt striking like a bruise on a vulnerable heart. Were they right? Was he just a kid playing dress-up in a world he didn't belong to? Deep down, he anchored himself in his mother's steadfast words. "You have more grit than anyone. You just have to show them." With every bolt tightened and every inch of paint splattered, Jamie pushed the fear aside, letting determination take its place. As night settled in, the glow of strings of lights wound around the garage illuminated the faces of his supporters. There was a growing sense of community that pulsed joyfully through the gathered crowd. Jamie's thoughts drifted to his mother in the hospital, her warmth and tenacity reminding him why he was fighting so hard. "This is for you, Mom," he whispered under his breath, his fingers working with purpose. Finally, as the hands of the clock ticked toward the last few moments, the old jalopy stood transformed. It shimmered in the lights, a patchwork of creativity and hope. Jamie stepped back, silent awe washing over him as the crowd gasped. They saw beyond the rust and grime. They saw potential. Too, as the event came to a close, Jamie turned to the crowd, heart racing. "We've done something amazing today, but we still have one last step. Together, let us turn this car into a fundraiser for my mom. Will you help?" Applause erupted, a wave of sound crashing over him. Jamie's heart swelled. Could it be? Were they really going to support him not just once, but time and again? As the crowd erupted into cheers, a shadow loomed at the edge, one he never expected. The wealthy kids, led by Jason, the one who laughed loudest at Jamie's dreams, stepped forward. Their expressions were unreadable until Jason, with a hesitant silence, spoke up. "I didn't think you could really do it." Jamie's breath caught, a mixture of hope and fear flooding his chest. Was this a turn of heart? Would they really be part of something beautiful now? The moment suspended in the air, Jamie realized the next chapter of his journey was just unfolding. Would he find acceptance where he least expected it? The moment felt electric, like a crackling wire ready to spark. Jamie stood there, eyes locked on Jason, the boy who had once made fun of him. Everyone else held their breath, waiting. "Seriously?" Jamie managed to say, trying to keep his voice steady. "You want to help?" Jason hesitated, shuffling his feet. "Yeah, I didn't expect you to really pull it off. That's amazing." There was a slight tremor in Jason's voice, an uncharacteristic twinge of sincerity. Jamie could see the rawness of a true feeling buried beneath the surface of a pretense. The kids around Jamie murmured in surprise, a few glancing at each other. The air shifted. Something had changed. Jason's friends hung back, uncertain. Jamie sensed their shifting loyalties as they watched Jason, waiting to see how he would navigate this unexpected moment. Sure." Jamie took a bold step forward. "We'd love to have your help. We all want to make this happen. Together." Jason's face transformed, a mixture of surprise and relief washing over him. "All right then, what do we do?" The simple question hung like a lifebuoy tossed amidst a churning sea. Jamie's heart raced. They were about to cross an unspoken barrier. From mocking all those years to standing shoulder to shoulder. "Let us get this ready for the fundraiser." We need to clean up and make sure it's presentable. Jamie directionally pointed, feeling newfound strength surge through him. He turned to the teenagers who had gathered. Everyone, grab a brush. Let us make this shine. Suddenly, there was a rush. Everyone dove into action. Young kids wielded rags, while older teens polished chrome and wiped down surfaces. Joyful laughter erupted, filling the night as the transformation took shape. Jamie couldn't shake off one lingering worry. Would this acceptance last? Could they really become allies instead of rivals? He glanced over to Lucas, who was vigorously scrubbing a fender. Lucas caught his eye and gave a nod, as if to say, "We got this." The moment granted Jamie a flicker of hope, but doubt still lingered like a shadow just outside his view. Just then, from the sidelines, a voice spoke up. "You know, Jamie, I didn't believe you could actually pull this off. But maybe I was wrong." It was Katie, one of the girls from Jason's crew. "But you agreed to help just before, right? That means more than anything." Jason folded his arms, a frown showing signs of reconciliation. "Don't get me wrong. We can help, but you're asking for a lot, man. You're not just fixing a car. You're trying to pull a community together." Jamie's eyes lit up. "Exactly. This isn't just about me. It's about all of us believing in something bigger." An invisible string connected their collective energies. A silent agreement brewed among them. The laughter, the brushes, and the shared work sparked an exciting possibility. By the time the lights began to fade, the Ford glimmered under the glow, a true emblem of resilience. The last touches were done. Jamie took a deep breath. "This is going to be great for my mom," he thought, a warmth spreading through him that pushed against the chill of doubt. This is surprisingly fun. Maybe we can make it a tradition?" Jason joked, nudging Jamie playfully. That sparked a wave of laughter, easing tension between them. Just then, a vibrant idea hit Jamie as he looked at the crowds milling around, excited about the event to come. What if we turned this fundraiser into something even bigger? Community event, with food, games, and prizes. We could raise a lot for my mom. The crowd burst into chatter, ideas flying around like fireworks. But just as hope filled the air, a figure stepped out of the darkness. Jamie's gut twisted. It was the principal of the high school, his presence looming heavy. What's going on here? Jamie's heart raced. Would this moment of unity be shattered? Or could this unexpected visitor sway the turning tide in his favor? Jamie felt the walls of his heart constrict as the principal's authoritative voice cut through the laughter and excitement. The chatter faded to silence, and all eyes turned to the tall figure, his stern brow furrowed. Jamie swallowed hard, unsure of how this moment could tip in either direction. Jamie stammered, his courage wavering. "We're getting ready for the fundraiser. Just cleaning up the car." The words felt weak, like a little boy's defense against a towering giant. The principal peered at the gathering, his expression inscrutable. "And who exactly is in charge here?" he demanded, scanning the crowd for a sign of leadership. Jason straightened beside Jamie, a surprising show of support. "We all are. This is a community thing," he said, his voice steady and firm. "We're working together to help Jamie raise money for his mom." A murmur rippled through the group, and Jamie watched as faces shifted from nervousness to surprise. Maybe they weren't alone after all. Maybe unity was more than just a dream. The principal's expression softened for just a moment. "Community? Huh? Not something I see every day." A flicker of doubt crossed his features. "You know, the school has rules about unsanctioned events. But I'll keep my eye on this." Silence filled the air again as he paused, clearly weighing his words. "As long as you don't cause any trouble, I suppose I can't stop you." A wave of relief washed over Jamie, though the principal's hesitation still hung between them like a thick fog. "Thank you. We won't let you down," Jamie exclaimed, fighting to keep the anxiety from creeping back in. "Keep it clean, people," the principal said, giving a curt nod before turning away. The crowd exhaled, and Jamie felt the tension crack and shatter like ice. "See? We did it," Jason said, a grin spreading across his face. For the first time, Jamie could sense a genuine bond forming. All right, let us get back to it. Jamie felt renewed energy spark through him. Let us make this fundraiser shine brighter than the car. With fresh determination, everyone resumed their tasks, paintbrushes and rags flying into motion. Laughter and playful banter returned, but now there was something more familiarity, like a melody that everyone was starting to sing along to. As the evening progressed, neon lights flickered on, casting a warm glow over the gathering. Jamie stepped back to admire the work. The Ford was transformed. Its once dull surface now glistened like a new penny, reflecting the budding spirit of the community. But amid the joy, Jamie's heart sank slightly. What if the fundraiser flopped? What if they took their support away after one night? The doubts gnawed at him, but he pushed them aside, focusing on the faces around him. Hey Jamie, Katie called, breaking his reverie. We should definitely have games like you suggested. And maybe we could ask for donations from local businesses for prizes. Yes, that's perfect. Jamie's heart soared. Let us make a list and get working. And just like that, ideas flowed freely, each one turning into sparks of excitement. Yet just as they began to plan, Jamie noticed a familiar face lingering at the edge of the crowd. It was Charlie, the quiet boy from his class. He never seemed to fit in, but today felt different. He looked drawn toward them like a moth to a flame. Charlie, Jamie's voice cut through the excitement. Come here. We could use your help too. As Charlie stepped forward, Jamie felt a twinge of hope. Could even the quietest voices be part of this growing chorus? But as Charlie moved closer, Jamie noticed something else in the shadows. An older figure, shrouded in darkness, watching intently. His gut twisted again. Who was that? And why did they look so menacing? Uncertainty bubbled up as Jamie's heart raced once more. What had he just invited into their moment of connection? The excitement around the car began to blur as Jamie's gaze fixated on the figure lurking in the shadows. The laughter of his friends faded into the background, replaced by a low thrum of unease. Who was that? The shape was cloaked, standing still while the world around it buzzed with life. Jamie's heart pounded as he tried to shake off the feeling that something was wrong. Hey Jamie, you good? Jason's voice jolted him back. Jamie blinked, realizing his friends were still engaged in planning. He forced a smile, but the creeping anxiety lingered. Yeah, just thinking, Jamie replied, his eyes darting back to the shadow. But it was gone. Had he imagined it? No, that uneasy feeling clung to him like thick fog, wrapping around his thoughts. Okay, no worries. Jason clapped Jamie on the shoulder, breaking through the fog for a moment. We need your energy. Let us sort out our games and get the word out, right? Jamie replied, trying to push the shadow from his mind. They formed small teams for planning, excitement crackling in the air as ideas bounced around. Katie suggested a bake sale. Someone else proposed a dunk tank, and he found himself swept up in the excitement once again. But every laugh somehow felt shadowed. As the conversation rolled on, Jamie stole a glance at Charlie, who was standing awkwardly by the drinks table, eyeing the throng but remaining on the sidelines. His face was pinched, conflicted. Part of him clearly wanted to join in, but he seemed tethered by invisible strings of self-doubt. Charlie, Jamie called again, offering him a genuine smile. Come on, help us figure out how to reach out to local businesses. This time, Charlie hesitated only for a moment before shuffling closer. His eyes were wide, and Jamie saw a flicker of something. Hope? I don't know if I can. Of course you can. Jamie insisted. You're part of this too, right? If we pull together, we can really do something amazing. Charlie looked at Jamie, a mixture of surprise and uncertainty playing on his face. The weight of his past experiences seemed to linger in silence around him, but Jamie was determined to help him break through. Okay, Charlie breathed, stepping fully into their circle. The joy that washed over Jamie was electric, an intertwining of spirits, as if Charlie had given them all a small piece of hope. But just then, a thunderous sound broke through the joyous atmosphere, a revving engine, loud and unforgiving. The crowd froze, all heads turned toward the source. From around the corner, a black truck lumbered into view, its engine growling like a beast. Memories flooded back, the same truck that had caused trouble before. Jamie's heart sank. The figure, was it connected to this? The laughter began to dissolve, replaced by a collective shudder of worry. "Who's that?" someone murmured, glancing nervously at Jamie. I don't know," Jamie replied, dread pooling in his stomach. The truck started to slow down, the menacing shadow from before seeping back into focus, and Jamie felt the heat of fear rise sharply within him. What if they were there to ruin everything? What if all their hard work, everything they had built together, could come crashing down in an instant? Jamie felt the circle of friends tighten around him, a unified wall of support. But the encroaching danger felt too palpable. As the truck came to a stop, the figure stepped out, and the crowd held its breath. Who was this person, and what did they want? Jamie braced himself, realizing this night was far from over. The engine's final growl faded into an unsettling silence. The figure emerged from the shadows, silhouetted against the glow of the fading sunlight. Jamie squinted, trying to make out the face that was still hidden beneath a hood. "Stay close," Jason whispered, shifting into a protective stance beside Jamie. The rest of the group huddled behind, tension radiating off them like heat from a fire. The figure took a step forward, allowing the dim light to illuminate a scruffy, torn jacket, worn jeans, and scuffed boots. Jamie's pulse quickened. Who was this person? Why did they feel like a threat? "Hey!" Jason called out, his voice steady but filled with caution. "What do you want?" The figure paused, head tilting. For a brief moment, Jamie thought they could see a flash of vulnerability in the other's stance, as if they were just as unsure about the confrontation. I am not here to cause trouble," the figure finally said, voice low but clear. Jamie's heart raced as he strained to hear. A sudden whirlwind of thoughts swirled around in his mind. Was this someone who wanted to sabotage their plans? Or someone lost and desperate? He took a step closer, curiosity mingling with fear. "We're just trying to have a community event," Jamie found himself saying, his voice firming. "What do you want?" The figure hesitated, tugging nervously at the hood. I came to apologize," they murmured, barely above a whisper. "I thought you might be here." A ripple of confusion ran through the group. Apologize? For what? Jamie pressed, a mix of apprehension and intrigue twisting in his gut. "Things went wrong before," the figure said, revealing a face marked with sharp angles, shadowed but clearly familiar. "I know what happened last fall. I didn't mean to." The words hung in the air, heavy with regret. The realization struck Jamie. "Wait, aren't you the one who?" He struggled to remember the details. There had been rumors, whispers of a past incident that had left scars in more ways than one. It had been a chaotic time, corners of their town feeling shattered by events beyond their control. "Yes," the figure nodded, finally pulling the hood down to reveal a weathered face. "All the trouble, I was scared back then. And now I see how hard you all are trying. I want to help." Jamie's mind raced. Could this be genuine? Could someone with such a troubled past really turn over a new leaf? The whole group exchanged glances, uncertainty etched across their faces. "Help how?" Katie demanded, crossing her arms. Her stance was protective, but there was a flicker of hope in her eyes. "I can connect you with people," the figure said, urgency rising in their voice. "Businesses that might want to support what you're doing. I know what it's like to feel like you've lost everything, but maybe there's a chance for redemption. Maybe I can help you make this event something special." The crowd murmured amongst themselves. Jamie could see doubt reflected in their expressions. Yet there was a growing curiosity. A chance for help came with risks, but the fire of their event burned strong, and it was fueled by community spirit. As Jamie tried to digest it all, the figure continued, "Please, I don't want to hide anymore. I want to be part of something good. Let me show you I can change." The tension thickened as the group shifted, a silent debate raging in the air. Would they accept a potential friend from a dark past? Could they trust someone who had once caused chaos? Jamie's heart thudded as he weighed his options. They needed support, but the stakes felt impossibly high. What would they decide? and what consequences would come from their choice. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the chill of night crept in, leaving Jamie feeling both hopeful and terrified. What awaited them next was unknown, but every instinct told him this was just the beginning. The air hung thick with uncertainty as the group tried to absorb the figure's words. Jamie's heart pounded. He could feel the tension like a tightrope straining under weight. The glow of twilight painted the scene in muted hues, shadows dancing as if mirroring the turmoil roiling inside him. "Why should we trust you?" Jason challenged, his voice steady but glancing toward the others for support. "You've hurt this community before." "I know," the figure replied, sorrow etched across their features. "I was wrong. I made mistakes, and I wish I could take back what happened. I see now a brighter future is possible if we work together. I'm asking for a chance to make things right." The group fell silent, grappling with the contrasting emotions flooding them. Hope wrestled with doubt. Jamie felt something deep within him tugging away from fear. Yes, there was a chance of betrayal, a possibility their trust could end up broken again. But was it fair to deny someone the opportunity to change? Katie broke the silence, her brow furrowed in contemplation. "What can you really offer us? What people can you bring into our event?" "They're local businesses, people I've crossed paths with," the figure said, pleading in their tone. "People who want to see the town thrive. Maybe they're hesitant now, but with a word from me, I can get them interested. I know what they're looking for, what can bring them in." Jamie could see a glimmer of belief in Katie's eyes, along with flickers of hope beyond the walls of mistrust. "Okay," she replied cautiously. "Let us say we believe you. What else next?" "Let us meet tomorrow," the figure suggested, earnestness shining through. "I can introduce you to some contacts. If you don't feel comfortable after that, then well, we'll part ways. But I promise you, you won't regret giving me a chance." A hush fell over the group again. Jamie's thoughts raced. This could be the turning point they desperately needed. But it was fraught with peril, the chance to bring back memories of hurt intermingled with hope and possibility. "What do we have to lose?" Jamie found himself saying out loud, surprising even himself with his own conviction. Katie nodded slowly, a tentative smile creeping onto her face. "Perhaps this is worth exploring. We need all the help we can get." The group looked around, some faces still skeptical, while others revealed hints of optimism. And in that moment, Jamie felt the fragile strings of trust weaving together, forming a tapestry of second chances. "I'll do it," the figure replied, a spark of relief lighting up their face. "Thank you for giving me this chance." "But," Jason interrupted, the protective edge still intact, "if anything goes wrong, if someone even hints that this is an act." "It won't be," the figure responded firmly. "I swear." With the emotions thick in the air and night settling deeper around them, they all felt a heaviness lifted. Yet the weight of the unknown lingered like a heavy fog. There was a glimmer of hope, but what awaited them tomorrow filled Jamie with a nervous energy as they turned to leave the small clearing. A chilling breeze swept through the trees, rustling their leaves like whispers of doubt. Jamie glanced back at the figure one last time. Could their open-heartedness lead to brighter days ahead? Or were they stepping blindly into darkness once again? Jamie couldn't shake the feeling that the real challenge was just beginning. What if this time redemption could lead to revelation? The sun broke through the horizon the next morning, casting a golden light across the small town. Jamie stood at his window watching the world wake up. He could feel a knot of anxiety twisting in his stomach. Today felt heavy with possibility. Today could change everything. He took a deep breath, pushing himself away from the wall, and headed downstairs. The smell of coffee wafted through the air, mingling with the sounds of his parents preparing for another day. He needed to find Katie and the others before they met with the figure. There just couldn't be any misunderstandings now. They were walking a delicate line. When he arrived at the usual spot, the old oak tree in the town square, he found Jason already waiting with an expression that mirrored Jamie's own worry. Katie soon joined them, her face a mask of hope mixed with apprehension. "Are we really doing this?" Jason asked, arms crossed tightly over his chest. "What if it backfires?" Before Jamie could respond, a voice cut through the morning silence, a familiar voice. It was the figure walking towards them with a purposeful stride. They looked different today. The discomfort from yesterday seemed replaced by determination, their eyes focused and bright. Jamie felt a rush of emotions. This was the moment they had all agreed on, yet part of him screamed for caution. "So, you're ready?" he said, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "I am," the figure replied, a tone of urgency in their voice. "And you're going to want to hear what I have to say." As they gathered close, the figure explained how they had reached out to businesses across town. There were interested parties, people who wanted to invest in their community and see it prosper. Names rolled off the figure's tongue, each one igniting sparks of hope in Jamie's heart. They laid out plans for the event, visions of how the town could transform and thrive together. But just when the air thickened with excitement, a shadow fell across them. A small group of townsfolk had gathered, drawn to the unusual assembly. Jamie could see suspicion etched across their faces. Whispers floated around, the tone sharply critical. "Why should we believe this person now?" An older woman stepped forward, her arms folded as she squared her shoulders. Jamie recognized her as someone who had lost a lot to the figure's past mistakes. "You promised us before. Look what happened." The anger in her voice spread like wildfire through the crowd. Jamie's heart sank. He glanced at Katie and Jason, their eyes heavy with doubt. The figure, however, met the crowd head-on. "I know I have broken your trust," they said, their voice calm but powerful. "But I'm here not just for me, but for all of us. I'm seeking forgiveness and a second chance." The sincerity in their words felt palpable, a raw honesty that cut through the clamor around them. But the crowd wasn't convinced. They muttered among themselves, casting skeptical glances. Jamie felt the tide shifting, the fragile threads of hope unraveling before their eyes. His heart raced. Without this moment, would they lose what they had built together? Before he knew it, the words tumbled from his mouth. "What do we have to lose?" He felt his pulse quicken, adrenaline pumping through him. "We could backslide, or we could rise together." Silence hung in the air, thick enough to cut. Finally, the figure cast a hopeful gaze over the townsfolk. "Let us give each other a chance. Together we can make this happen." As murmurs of dissent mixed with whispers of curiosity, Jamie could practically feel the weight of choices hanging in the balance. Would they grasp this chance for a brighter future, or would the scars of the past hold them back once more? The crowd's reaction was building, but Jamie knew this was far from over. The fight for their future was just beginning. And then the most unexpected voice broke through the tension, a child's. "But what if they're here to help?" The room fell silent. All eyes turned towards the young girl speaking the truth, lighting a small spark of courage in Jamie's chest. Would they listen? To innocence over fear? His heart pounded as he waited for the answer, uncertain if he was ready for what came next. Jamie's breath caught in his throat as he watched the crowd turn towards the child. The girl, no older than 7, stood firm, her small figure a beacon of innocence amidst the growing tension. Her wide eyes sparkled with a simple sincerity that seemed to cut through the layers of mistrust. Some in the crowd exchanged glances. A few nodded ever so slightly. It was as if her words had momentarily lifted a heavy weight, letting a glimmer of hope seep in. Jamie felt a rush of gratitude towards her. Maybe this was what they needed, a reminder that sometimes change starts with the simplest of questions. "Yeah," Jason chimed in, his voice shaky but earnest. "Kids don't care about the past. They see what can be. If we hang on to what was, how will we ever move forward?" The figure looked at the child, a soft smile breaking through the tension. "Exactly. It's about believing we can do better. We are stronger together, despite what has happened." A murmur rippled through the crowd, a hesitant wave of curiosity. Jamie took a small step forward. "Look, we know trusting is hard," he began, trying to bolster that growing flicker of faith. "But this is our chance. Come on, we know what it's like when we all come together. Those businesses, they're real. This could be our way to create something amazing, not just for ourselves, but for everyone." The doubts still held weight, visible in the furrowed brows and crossed arms. But a few more voices joined in the backing. Look how far we've come. Even after everything, someone called out from the back of the crowd. We can't let fear keep us small. Encouraged, Jamie pressed on. What if we let hope lead us instead? What if this time it works? We owe it to ourselves to at least try. He saw the figure nod, energy building around them. Let us take that leap together. I care about this town and want to do what's right. I promise to prove you can trust me again. All of you deserve more. A deep breath filled the air, and for the first time, Jamie sensed the atmosphere shift. He could feel something fragile but powerful pulsating around them. If they opened their hearts, could they find a new path among the ruins of the past? The hesitation lingered, but slowly faces began to soften, expressions shifting from anger to contemplation. Children wandered closer to their parents' sides, drawn in by the warmth of possibility. The older woman who had spoken out hesitated but seemed to weigh her words carefully. Then, finally, she spoke again. I don't know if this is the answer, but if a child believes, maybe we should listen. Her voice was quieter now, but there was a resolve that hadn't existed moments before. Tentatively, the crowd began to shift. Faces turned, doubts began to ebb. Hope crept in, sharp yet fragile. Jamie felt his heart swell as the crowd's murmurs grew louder, embracing the dialogue. But somewhere in the back of his mind, a nagging question clawed at him: had they truly turned a corner? Or was this just another false dawn? Before he could dwell on it, a figure emerged from the back of the crowd. A man dressed in a business suit, face shaded by a broad-brimmed hat, stepped forward, breaking the newfound unity. His voice boomed over the gathering, clear and authoritative. I'll back this if you can prove the community is united. So tell me, who is with you? Jamie's heart sank again, the weight of the moment hovering over them. Would they find the strength to claim their future? Or would they hesitate just long enough to watch it slip away again? The moment teetered on the brink of revelation, and Jamie felt the ground shifting beneath him, wondering if they could all stand together in this delicate crossroads. The crowd was tense, breath held. Would they rise to the challenge? In that silence, Jamie realized the next move was theirs alone to make. The sun rose high over Chicago, casting warm rays that danced on the glistening hood of the transformed Ford. The atmosphere buzzed with excitement, shimmering anticipation rippling through the crowd. Jamie stood at the forefront, heart pounding, hands clammy with the weight of the moment. Today they were set to unveil the work of their efforts, a dazzling display of community spirit, with hope etched into every stroke of paint. Today's the day, he whispered to himself, and he could feel the vibration of those words echoing loud in his heart. The energy was electric. Friends and neighbors filled the makeshift venue, their faces alight with determination and hope. The chatter of excitement mixed with laughter created a melody that filled the air, wrapping around people like the tightest of embraces. Next to him, Jason adjusted the microphone, casting a sidelong glance at Jamie. You ready? With you by my side? Jamie grinned, finally feeling that surge of confidence pushing through any lingering doubts. More than ever, the crowd began to quiet down, excitement laced with nerves. All eyes were on Jamie. He stepped forward, inhaling deeply, and looked out across the sea of familiar faces, the group that had stood beside him against whispers of doubt, that had come together to turn dreams into reality. Thank you all for being here today, he said, his voice steady yet warm. Months ago, I was just a kid with a dream, a beat-up Ford, and a heart full of hope. Now, we're a community, stronger together, ready to make a difference. Applause broke out, waves of applause that electrified the air. Jamie felt tears prickle at the corners of his eyes. This isn't just about fixing a car. It's about fixing lives. It's about lifting each other up. It's about everyone here believing in the idea that we can create something amazing together. With each word spoken, hearts opened. The nervous energy shifted into something palpable, something warm spreading through the crowd. Determination was brewing, bubbling up like a newly opened soft drink, ready to overflow. Then suddenly, the man in the suit stepped up, shaking off the reluctance that had once shadowed him. He lifted his chin proudly as he said, I believe in this community. I'll support you, Jamie. You've shown more heart than I've seen in years. Let us make this fundraiser a success. Gasps erupted. Eyes widened. Jamie's heart soared. Wait, who's with us? He called out. Hands shot up, voices cheered. There were smiles, nods, and an unbreakable bond forged in that moment. Katie stood tall, beaming as she shouted, "We're all in. Let us do this." Her enthusiasm burned brightly, igniting everyone's spirits around. Each neighbor chimed in. "We've got your back. Let us raise some funds." As people began to rally, Jamie felt a rush of love sweep through him, the kind that wraps around your heart like a warm blanket on a cold day. This was what his dream was built on: unity, love, the fierce determination to rise above struggles. Then, unexpectedly, the figure from yesterday emerged from the crowd, vulnerability painted across their face. "I just want to say thank you for giving me a chance," they said, voice shaky but sincere. "I'll do everything I can to show you that we really can turn this around." Jamie met their gaze, heart wide open, ready to embrace this chance for redemption. "Together, we'll prove that redemption exists for all of us." And just like that, the community erupted once more, an explosion of hope, defiance against adversity, and a united commitment to see one another succeed. Laughter rang out, hands shook in agreement, children dashed around giggling, weaving in and out of legs. The event unfolded brilliantly. Food stalls brimmed with homemade treats, games filled the streets, and the gleaming Ford stood proudly at the center, an emblem of their collective dreams. Jamie's voice echoed across the crowd as joy wrapped itself around vulnerable hearts. There was a moment when he caught his mother's eye from the corner of the venue. The light in her eyes mirrored the hope flowing through Jamie. She was recovering stronger with every passing day, and together, they had weathered the storm. As the sun dipped low, casting a golden hue across the cheering crowd, Jamie's heart brimmed with gratitude. It wasn't just a car he had built, but a family, a community ready to lift each other up, to stand side by side in life's battles. "Today's not just ours," Jamie shouted over the din. "It's everyone's. Together we can take on the world." As beats of celebration burst forth, Jamie felt the weight of triumph envelop him, knowing the journey had shifted from survival to thriving. They had chosen love, forgiveness, and unity, awakening possibilities beyond his wildest dreams. And in that moment, Jamie realized this was his Mercedes-Benz moment, the true embodiment of success, freedom, and a future crafted hand in hand with love and community. Let this be the beginning of many journeys of transformation, each one igniting inspiration and hope wherever it goes. You need to subscribe now to catch the next incredible journey that awaits. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the stories coming. Comment down below with your feelings about this uplifting conclusion. Let's celebrate together. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need inspiration in their lives. Don't wait not even one more second. Your support means the world.